Erev Tov Rabotai, we're continuing with our Mishna Yomi Mesechet Kilayim. We're up to Perek Aleph, Mishnah Vav. The previous two Mishnayot that we learned yesterday, they listed trees and plants that are now to be grafted or planted together, even though they resemble each other. We're going to learn today in this Mishnah that the term Kilayim applies not only to trees and plants, but also to animals. Like we learned earlier, well, we spoke about it in the introduction, that it is forbidden to breed different species of animals with each other. We learned this in the Torah. It says in Sefer Vayikra, in chapter 19, Pasuk 19, Be'emtecha lo tarbia kilayim, your animals you shall not mate in a mixture of breeds. There's another issue that it says in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 22, Pasuk 10, Lo tachosh b'shor b'chamor yachdav, you shall not plow with an ox and a donkey together. We're going to learn more about this later on in Perek Chet, chapter 8. The Mishnah today is going to list 7 pairs of animals in which the members of each pair, they resemble each other, but they are still considered different species that are now allowed to be bred together. Haze'ev va'kelev, the wolf and the dog. Kelev ha'kufri va'shu'al, the village dog and the fox. And the Rav explains, what's a village dog? The village dog is a small breed of dog raised by villagers. It's similar in size to a fox. Ha'izim va'tzva'im, goats and gazelles. The ibexes and the ewes. Ibexes, it's like a male bull type species. Ewes are female sheep. Now, the Mefarshim explain that even though the Mishnah only specifies a male ibex and a female sheep, the prohibition is likewise vice versa. A female ibex and a male sheep, you cannot mix breed either. Hasus v'hapered, the horse and the mule. Hapered v'chamor, the mule and the donkey. What's a mule? We know a mule is the product of a union between a horse and a donkey. Therefore, it's kilayim with both. A mule cannot be with a donkey, nor can it be with a horse. We're going to learn this later on, like I said, in Perek Chet, in Mishnah Gimel, hachamor ve'arod, the donkey and the wild donkey. Afal pish domin zelazeh kilayim zebazeh. Even though they are similar to each other, they are still kilayim with each other, and they cannot be mixed bred. Now, we learned in Mishnah Daled that it is asur to graft one species of tree onto another. The Mishnah now is going to define the prohibition of grafting. What is grafting? En mevi'in ilan bi'ilan. We are not allowed to bring, which we learned means graft. You cannot graft a tree onto a different kind of tree. Now, the Mefarshim explained to us, the Rav says in the commentary, and the Rosh says likewise, and it's brought down in Yoredeah, that the prohibition applies only to grafts in which at least one of the trees is a fruit-bearing tree. If neither of the trees is fruit-bearing species, then the graft is permitted because it's like considered the same species. Yarak be'arak, you cannot bring a vegetable onto a different kind of vegetable. Now, this needs a little more explanation. Like we said earlier, the Torah says in Sefer Vayikra, I'm going to find the psukim for you. The Torah says in Sefer Vayikra, Et chukotai tishmoru, my decrees you shall observe. Be'emtecha lo tarbia kilayim, your animals you shall not make kilayim. Sadecha lo tizra kilayim, your field you shall not plant kilayim. Ubegit kilayim shadnes lo elecha, and a garment of shadness mixture shall not come upon you. So the Mefarshim point out something very interesting. The prohibition against planting your field kilayim means that one cannot plant a field with a mixture of seeds. It says this in the Yerushalmi, Mesechet Pe'ah, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Daled. However, the Torah is hinting to us something interesting as well. By teaching this prohibition, together with the prohibition against mating two different kinds of animals, the Torah is teaching us that just like the prohibition of mating your animal refers to physically, mating means to join them, two animals from different species together, so too the prohibition regarding planting your field refers also to physically grafting, joining one species onto another. So we learn regarding plants, there's 2 prohibitions. One is to plant them together, but another one is to physically join them together, to graft them together, since it was placed next to the prohibition of physically mating 2 different species of animals. But we learned again earlier in Mishnah Daled that the prohibition of mixing trees is only grafting. Planting the seeds of different trees together is permitted, like the Tosef Yom Tov writes in our Mishnah. The Mishnah continues, V'lo ilan be'erak, v'lo erak be'ilan. You cannot mix a tree onto a vegetable, nor a vegetable onto a tree. The Mishnah says, Rabbi Yehuda matir yarak be'ilan. Rabbi Yehuda permits grafting a vegetable onto a tree. The Rav says the halacha does not follow Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha follows the first opinion that you cannot graft a tree onto a vegetable or a vegetable onto a tree. But the Mefarshim do point out The Rabbi Yehuda permits both grafting vegetables to trees and trees to vegetables, even though he said Yirak Bilan. He didn't say Ilan Bi'Irak, he means vice versa, both cases. Both grafting vegetables onto trees and trees to vegetables. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, the logic is, since grafts between trees and vegetables do not produce significant merging of their plant tissue, they are both physically different, they're not really considered grafts. Again, see the Mefarshim, the Chazon Ish deals with this, the Tosfos Yom Tov, on what Rabbi Yehuda's logic to permit it is. But like we said, the Halakha follows the first opinion that you cannot graft a tree onto a vegetable, nor a vegetable onto a tree. That is the end of today's Mishnah Yomi, Rabotai. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.